Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the J Moore Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hey guys, good evening. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur, and welcome to the J Moore Tech Talk Show. It is great to be with you here on the show, and we have another great show for you tonight. In case you guys did not know, we do this show every single week, but you can always check it out as well as other previous episodes by going to believemeachieve.com. All right, guys. So, title for tonight's show is Tech at a Turning Point. From ending to AI-driven futures, we're on Series 4, and this is show number 34. First thing I want to talk to you guys about, so you guys know we use lots of different streaming platforms and services. So we had been with a product that started with an S. You guys can figure out who that is. And they were started by two friends, great platform. And then they actually were doing what they call, like town meetings every week, like Sundays. And it was great. And we were with them for a very long time. They even had the ability so that you could call on a telephone 24 hours a day and reach somebody by an 800 number. That was real cool. And then what happened was the friends announced that they're selling the platform. But don't worry that they're still going to stay very heavily involved and that everything is going to be just where it is. And they're going to make, well, I knew that wasn't going to stick. So within, I'm going to say maybe 3 to 6 months of that, they started to slowly disappear. About 6 months after that, I was traveling and, I do my shows, whether I'm at my home studio or in my office studio. And I could not log on to this S platform. And so you have to use basically your email, and then they do a 6-digit OFA, a one-time code, OTA. And so we weren't getting the code. So there was no way to reach them. I used that little stupid messenger system, which a lot of companies are doing because they kind of hides them from having to get on the phone. That's why people do that, right? And it's kind of like I call it, they support whenever they want to, right? They don't have to support right now. They support whenever they feel like it. And so I remember during this time, I said, well, I have to get this show out. And so what I decided to do was to record the show locally. I was in Florida. And to send it back to our studio and push it out from there because I was already logged into the S studio at home and also in my office studio. So I pushed it out to there, and then I scheduled it for a few minutes later. Well, still couldn't get into this platform, so I had to do that for a few days. So this is getting kind of crazy. So that night, I filed a ticket. So that was I think that was Thursday night. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, they got back to me. Now, granted, it was a holiday weekend, okay? But you still should have support around the clock, especially for us professional streamers that do this all the time. And so nobody got back to me. I got an email just telling me I can update my email address, and that was it. It was just useless. So they were just not helping at all. And I couldn't talk to them by phone. There was no chat. It was terrible. So I tried another platform. Platform starts with an R. Platform we're using right now, but we might be leaving soon. The reason is, so we use professional equipment like Focusrite and Shure microphones and things like that. So we use high quality equipment. And so about, I don't know, maybe about 4 or 5 days ago, we started noticing that every time we were going online, within about 50 or 20 minutes, we would get a message saying that the audio device had disconnected and is restarting. Now, granted, this didn't happen in any other streaming software, any other meeting software, Zoom, etc. Didn't happen anywhere else. So I reached out to their team, and they were useless. I put a ticket in this past week when we noticed it around Sunday night. And all they just kept doing was pretty much prevaricating and just appeasing me the whole week. Tonight, I got a lady that I spoke to via chat, same person, and I asked her qualifications, and she told me she doesn't feel comfortable sharing. I said, well, then you're obviously not an engineer. So don't call yourself an engineer if you're not. And then they told me they're going to have their engineer get back to me, and now they're blaming it on my equipment. Okay. So we now have a call set up with Focusrite just to prove them wrong. And we're probably going to be leaving the platform and moving to like R or something, which is another platform. And if that doesn't work, we'll probably go to a professional stream platform, which is like just used for private type broadcasting. So a little frustrating this week, really want to put high quality content out. But some of these streaming companies, unfortunately, they take your money for the year. And then the support they provide is like, well, kind of non-existent. But again, we have a great show for you tonight. I do invite you to check out believemeachieve.com. And in case you are new here, I do want to take this opportunity to welcome you. Yes, welcome you to the J Moore Tech Talk Show. If you are coming back, well, welcome back. It is always great to have you back here on the J Moore Tech Talk Show. I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, podcast host, podcast coach, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, and passionate lifelong learner, and also a graduate student that is pursuing his MSc SAI, and then will be pursuing a PhD in that field. So I hope you do enjoy this show as well as all the other shows. But something very interesting happened. It was back just about a week or so ago. And maybe some of you that are around for a while remember the sound, "You've got mail." And in fact, sometimes you would set this up, and for a long time, you'd get a message saying that it couldn't connect. There were things like Windsucker. We don't have that anymore. And so this is when we had dial-up, because the modem would have to dial out, then it would have to connect. And sometimes with the dialing up and hanging up, well, there was a memory leak between the windsock and the modem that caused a big problem. Their solution was reboot the computer, and then you could probably dial up 4 more times. Well, I would be dialing up AOL maybe, I don't know, like in the morning I would dial up before I went to school. I would have it dial up in the afternoon, sometime mid-afternoon. I have it dial up in the end of the day. Because remember, we weren't online live. So I wanted to get the information as quickly as possible. And it wasn't as easy as just going to your computer and getting it. So I wanted to have the information there. So then when I responded to an email, when I clicked it later on, it would just go out with that batch. But imagine this, ladies and gentlemen. So Verizon bought AOL. And AOL has decided to finally, well, actually Verizon, has decided to end the dial-up era. After decades of connecting the world, AOL has officially announced the end of its iconic dial-up internet. The familiar "You've Got Mail" sound will still be there and fade into the history, marking the close of what I call an era in digital communication. While AOL mail and apps will continue, nostalgia and the evolution of internet collide in this major tech milestone. And if you've used AOL, you probably can have a little bit of a passion for this, or maybe you used CompuServe, which was a similar service. And the whole idea was that you could go online and use their special space, proprietary, where you could access all their information. You'd get their advertisers. And it was a very simple way to send and receive mail, because you just clicked on write, you clicked on send, and then you had your own little address book. And so they've announced, ladies and gentlemen, that officially, yes, you've heard it here first, on September 30th, 2025, September 30th, that is a little bit over a month to go from now, they will officially discontinue the AOL dial-up. I know, that's a hard thing for everybody to swallow, but it's coming. Robots and timber homes are making a comeback with Britain's housing crisis as it might finally meet its match as the robots meet sustainable timber. These automated builds promise faster, greener, and cheaper housing solutions without sacrificing quality. Could this combination revolutionize construction as we all know it or not? So, a lot of people are very enthused about this moment. The fact with robotics, sustainable timber, and the whole thing of trying to preserve that carbon footprint, or so people say. But a lot of times it just becomes nonsense because if they preserve it one place, they're just going to burn it off somewhere else. And Meta, yes, Meta makes 2FA mandatory on Instagram accounts that are, let's say, high profile. A lot of my my John C. Morley serial entrepreneur accounts, they required me not too long ago to go in and actually set up 2FA, or I would not be able to log into those accounts and post. So they're doing this to step up the security. Meta now requires the two-factor authentication for what we call high-risk accounts. Have several thousand or more interactions to protect creators and influencers from growing cyber threats. So digital safety is becoming the new standard in social media. But is this more of an annoyance? So as of August 17th, which was just a few days ago, Meta has decided to step up security by increasing 2FA. So what is 2FA? Two-factor authentication. So that basically means that when you put your password in, it's going to do basically a one-time password. So an OTA would be sent to either your phone via SMS or text, or it would go to the Microsoft Authenticator app or some other authenticator app. You'd have to put that code in, which those codes change like every 60 seconds roughly in those authenticator apps. And the code they issue is good for about maybe 1 to 3 minutes. So this whole thing is to make it so that if you're trying to log in fact, Slack has always had two-factor, and we use it all the time. But some people have just decided not to use two-factor. Why? I don't know. And so their accounts have gotten hacked, like Disney, etc. Right? And so by enabling two-factor, if somebody was to hypothetically get my email address or even get my workspace or even get my password, they would not be able to log in unless they had the two-factor code. Pretty cool. So I'm glad that Meta's doing it. However, I think they should have given people a little more warning. That when Meta decides to do something, they just do it like cold turkey. They don't give people a warning. Like even when they decided to delete the content when you upload like streams and stuff, they just give you a notice saying it's being deleted on this day. They didn't give us much warning. I think maybe got a few weeks or a month warning. They just do whatever they want. So I don't know, guys. I like that they're doing it. I don't like in the manner in which they've decided to execute it. And Biopatch protects farm workers now. An innovative wearable technology is apparently saving lives in fields around the world. The tiny Biopatch monitors vital signs like heart rate and skin temperature, helping prevent, well, the heat-related illnesses among farm workers and demonstrating how tech can protect our human health. And I think that's an important use of technology to keep us healthy, right? So this biopack could save farm workers from heat exhaustion and other types of diseases from that. Just wearing this biopatch, monitoring all their vital signs, a tiny device that could be a lifesaver in the fields, keeping workers safe in the extreme heat conditions. So that's a pretty cool thing. And Tunisia's AI prosthetics, well, curing bionics is changing the game with AI powered prosthetics that mimic natural movement. Lightweight, 3D printed, and non invasive, they are advanced limbs that make mobility more accessible and redefine what's possible for amputees. So I think that's a cool use of technology, and hopefully that'll help a lot of people that were not able to walk. So this Tunisian startup, Cure Bionics, is claiming to revolutionize prosthetics with AI. And because of that, and 3D printing and muscle sensors, this lightweight, non invasive limb moves like the real thing, which is going to be a big advancement for prosthetics. And it's Trump now versus the Intel CEO, um, and the president there now calling for Intel CEO Lip Bhutan to step down over alleged conflicts tied to China. This high profile move raises questions about corporate governance, geopolitics, and the future direction of one of the Americans' major chip makers. Is this ethical, though? That's what everybody's been asking because, we posted the little teasers during the week and people saying this can't be legal. And I'm like, I don't think it can be either, guys. I really don't think it's legal. Um, so President Trump demanded the Intel CEO Lip Bhutan step down. He demanded, he didn't ask, he demanded, calling him highly conflicted over his ties to Chinese firms. So, Mr. Trump, I see that you're saying that, but if we were to, let's just say, look at the other side of the coin, would we find you're 100% clean? I don't know. Just a question to ask. A wise person once told me, John, don't throw rocks because your friends live in, or your strangers live in glass houses. But remember, don't throw them because they will retaliate back and throw them at you because you also live in a stone house. So the America for the chip maker and its turnaround plans, still a little bit of a mystery. We'll have to see what's going to go on with that juncture. And Instagram has a little bit of a glitch. A little, that's to say the least. Instagram AI ban glitches of social media chaos hits Instagram's AI mistakenly bans many accounts, accusing users of violating things that they didn't do. Suspensions, reinstance, and confusion highlight the challenges of AI moderation in today's digital landscape. So there's a lot of angry that are confused, that are worried. And the real story behind this Instagram ban, Instagram users worldwide are facing wrongful bans accused by Meta's AI of what they call, let's say, child inappropriate activity by adults. The accounts are basically being suspended, some are reinstated, and sometimes banned again. People are very angry about this, even worrying police might get involved. But again, when we use AI to make a decision, right, we have to make sure that there are humans always in the loop. So we'll keep an eye on that, guys. And the United Kingdom, is coming to bat with facial recognition vans. Police vans equipped with live facial recognition technology are rolling out across England as we speak. While intended to catch criminals, critics are warning about privacy and surveillance and sparking debates over the balance between safety and our own civil liberties. So, with the UK and this massive rollout, more police vans with live facial recognition scanning crowds to catch violent criminals and people that are not, let's say, doing things properly as adults. Critics are warning it's a step towards surveillance state, while the government says it's safe, targeted, and lawful. I don't know, guys. I think that might be a little of a stretch to just put that on everyone. I think that's a big, big no-no. And AI, ladies and gentlemen, reunites Chile's lost kids. Decades after Chile's dictatorship tore families apart, AI and other high tech tools are helping reconnect missing children with their relatives. These innovations provide hope and healing, showing technology's power for social good. And I think that's a very, very big, big issue out there. So the military dictatorship started around 1973, went to 1990, and thousands of children were taken, displaced abroad, or just went missing, leaving families searching for answers decades later. While traditional DNA testing has provided some breakthroughs, it also faces some accuracy bumps and accessibility challenges. Now, organizations in Chile are turning to innovative technologies such as artificial intelligence to trace missing relatives, verify identities, and reconnect families torn apart by the regime. These tools are given new hope to survivors through process remains are getting complex and emotionally charged. So this is not a very easy thing. And it looks like Stripe has bit off a little more than they can chew. Stripe's LGBTQ plus payment error. Stripe allegedly, well, they claim they do, apologizes. They had to apologize after the staff mistakenly blocked payments for LGBTQ plus services. The correction underscores the importance of clear policies, corporate accountability, and ethical practices in the digital payment space. So, what actually was going on and why did they do this? So, here's the thing, they have no problem allowing LGBTQ plus businesses to sell their different types of products and services. What they have an issue with is those using systems to sell adult related, non PG content and services to individuals. So that's a pretty big jump. And none of these companies were doing that. So that's a pretty big stretch. I mean, I think maybe they just came up with that because they realized how stupid it was. I don't know. I think that's just them talking with, well, basically their head not screwed on right. And UK adult sites are dropping age verification rules in the UK, causing a sharp decline in adult website traffic. While designed to protect minors, the regulations are reshaping online content consumption and sparking debates over privacy and digital freedom. Some more challenges, right? So, the UK's new age verification rules are now in effect. And like I said, they really caused a sharp decline in that traffic. And the regulations require users to verify their age before accessing these types of sites with this type of content, meaning millions of visitors must now use third party verification services. Many sites that fail to implement these checks have been blocked or restricted. While others are struggling to adjust to the requirements, industry experts warn that the changes could reshape online adult content consumption in the United Kingdom, as well as casual browsing without verification is no longer possible. The move aims to protect minors from accessing explicit material, but it has sparked debate over privacy, digital rights, and the broader impact on internet freedom. It's something, once something has an issue, we come up with a resolution because we want to cover all cases, but that might not be the most ethical thing to do. But sometimes people don't really understand that very well. And ladies and gentlemen, Rolls-Royce bets on AI big time. Rolls-Royce aims to become the United Kingdom's biggest company by combining AI with small modular nuclear reactors. Wow. The move highlights innovation in energy, aerospace, and industrial strategy, showcasing how AI can power economic growth. That's a pretty amazing thing. So, Rolls Royce believes that AI is going to be, well, their next main claim to fame. And imagine this, powered by an SMR, a small modular nuclear reactor, possibly making it the UK's most valuable company. The firm has signed deals to supply the SMRs to the UK and SEC governments, aiming to meet a projected global demand of 400 units by 2050, each costing up to $3 billion. CEO Tufan Ertuğrul highlights the company's unique nuclear capabilities and sees AI-driven growth as a major opportunity for UK industrial strategy. Alongside the nuclear ambitions, Rolls-Royce continues to dominate aircraft engines, and it's targeting the next generation narrow-bodied aircraft market. Since the head of their government took over in 2023, the company's shares have risen tenfold. Profits are expected to surpass £3 billion, and debt has fallen, setting the stage for what he believes could be a historic rise to the top of the UK's market. Wow, guys, that Rolls-Royce in a million years, it's definitely an eye-opener. I definitely have to say that. And so Starbucks, Korea bans PCs. What's this all about? So Starbucks Korea is limiting bulky devices in cafes to maintain shared space and comfort. This move addresses the rise of what they customers turning cafe well their own personal office spaces, balance trends with public etiquette. That's just so bizarre. So again, Starbucks Korea is cracking down on customers turning cafes into their full-blown offices, banning things like desktop computers, full-blown printers, bulky items that take up lots of space. Laptops, tablets, and phones, well, they're still welcome. But the move aims to keep seating available and maintain a pleasant shared environment as the trend Kagonic people working long hours in cafes sparks debates online. So even if you do have a laptop and you're the kind of person that has all these extra accessories, you're kind of the one that's going to probably get kicked out. So if you need more than a little space for your laptop, like you need a whole extra table or something, that might be a problem. So we'll have to see what's going on there. And ladies and gentlemen, the Jersey police are now using artificial intelligence technology in helping Jersey police boost efficiency, transcribe interviews, and tackle rising youth crimes. By combining tech with human oversight, law enforcement can now respond faster while maintaining accountability. Kind of crazy. So, with New Jersey police turning to AI to hopefully crack down on these crimes and using AI to fight them, like I said, being able to transcribe witnesses, interviews, and keeping human oversight, this technology is really at the cutting edge, to boost efficiency and decision making as the sees rising missing persons and vehicle incidents, highlighting the need for more resources and tech-driven solutions. Is if they do this kind of stuff, what is going to be their modus for protection, safety, and security? I think that's a big concern, guys, for a lot of people. Like, what do you do for safety? And I know that's something that a lot of people are saying to me, John, I don't know. But if you put information in somewhere and you don't have a plan to manage it, well, that could be a very, very big problem. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I think it's a real interesting thing. Waymo gets the first permit to test autonomous vehicles in New York City. This just happened a few days ago. They received their first permit to begin testing its autonomous vehicles in New York City with a trained specialist behind the wheel helping the company advance its self-driving ambitions. Wow. That's a very, very big step. And I think a lot of people are concerned about not just AI, but where's all this information going, right? I think that could be a big problem. And now another interesting thing that's hitting the market, Amazon lobbies Indian government to exempt export from foreign investment rules, the sources are now saying. And so everything happening is all about the money. It's all about, how much is it going to impact people? And I think as it impacts people, then people are like, oh, we got to do something, right? We got to do something. And the more people see this, they're like, oh my gosh, like, what are we going to do? And so these are some very tough questions, and we don't have the answers for these just yet. You know, um, Thinking about the stuff that they're working on, and thinking about all these great things, building different data centers that are larger are great, right? But my question is, where is this data going? Like, where is the policy for the security of this data? And I don't know if you guys know this, but the Australia watchdog orders the Beyonce unit to conduct an audit over some money laundering concerns. So, just because something gets resolved once doesn't mean that somebody's in the clear. So, again, I always say to do the right thing, right? Do the right thing all the time, even when no one is watching. Why? Because it's just better. You're going to have headaches. Plus, you're going to want to sleep well, and you're going to want to be a person that doesn't have to worry about what you said last week, right? I would think everybody here wants to be somebody that is bound to their own integrity and to other people's integrity. But I know that sounds like something that is like complicated, right? I know right now the big thing coming up is TikTok, right? And suppose in a week or two, Trump is going to let us know who he got to buy TikTok. I think it's probably going to be like Meta and a few other companies. It's called M2 or M3. So it already has like Meta's name in it, if I'm guessing, saying like probably like Meta and maybe two other companies. That's my guess. I don't know yet, but we'll have to see. And I think the more that we can see what's going on, the more it's going to impact our economy, the more it's going to affect local businesses. It's going to affect the culture, the political culture, and the geo-technical culture. So a lot of this stuff out there seems to be interesting. But when people develop different products or different services, are they doing things for the greater good of all concerned? And you've heard me say this before, okay? Um, I think most people don't understand that something can't just be profitable. It has to be for the greater good of all concerned, right? And I know that sounds like something, you probably don't want to hear, but it's the truth, okay? It is actually the truth. And so the more we think about different technical challenges and technical problems, the more we ask ourselves questions like now ChatGPT is at version 5, I believe, and Microsoft Copilot stuff. Now they're able to even take your voice as input. But again, the challenge still remains that as they're developing this technology, okay, it's not perfect. It's far from perfect. It makes mistakes. I was using a piece of AI technology the other day, and it kept telling me that my browser wasn't supporting something. When my browser was supporting something, it was just they had a bug. And here is something very, very interesting. I think this is really cool. Did you know that the White House is now opening their first TikTok account? That's wacky, right? I mean, TikTok is supposed to be banned in the United States, but yet it's funny how Donald Trump is opening an official TikTok account. I mean, he loves TikTok. He claims that TikTok helped him win the election or what have you. So pretty soon we're going to start to see other departments of, let's say, the government open these accounts. It's crazy. He actually made a very interesting statement. It says, "I am your voice." Trump relaunches on TikTok with the White House account. He threatened to ban TikTok in his first term, but has since embraced it. Why? Because that's what got him in office. So there's going to be a lot of rivals back and forth of, what is the government doing? What's happening with TikTok? And, I think in the long run, the United States is going to do well with it. But what you don't know about the new TikTok is that it's probably going to block us from access to other countries, which isn't a big deal for me. But it's also going to give our United States government access to all the content we post. I don't really care so much about that. But I think maybe the rules of TikTok will change. Maybe they'll be a little fairer. All right. And I know that it comes down to the fact that people are about, doing the right thing. But sometimes when, like a push comes to shove, like TikTok, and you have to admit the stance that President Trump is taking it's interesting to say the least. Uh, TikTok briefly let app stores in the United States before Trump's second inauguration and went dark 14 hours. You all remember that, right? A pop-up message cresting appearing when the app started working again, reading, "As a result of President Trump's efforts, TikTok is back in the U.S." In fact, TikTok CEO Xiao Chu was among many of the tech leaders who Trump invited to his inauguration. So again, I'm not really sure what he's doing with it. Um, I'm not sure if TikTok is going to be for the greater good of everyone. I don't know yet. I know that reaching them for a simple problem, they keep changing their mind about rules. And then when you try to reach them, I don't know, but you have to go on their app. And then if you email them, they tell you, oh, can you please use the app? So you have to go to a page, fill some. I mean, it's absolutely, absolutely nuts. And it looks like tonight, if you guys have noticed, we have not blocked out, which has been great. Apparently, Restream has been having issues with my professionals, like Focusrite and things like that. So they're having a conflict. This just started a couple days ago, so I've had to do broadcasting off of my regular mic, which is not my professional mic, which doesn't have the same high fidelity. But I think, when a company offers a product or a service, I don't care whether it's a light bulb, it's music, it's a medical service, it's a technical service, right? Or an educational service. I think that company has a responsibility to make sure the client is satisfied, not just today and not just tomorrow, but for the rest of the time they use the product. That I work with, I'm not going to mention their name. There's a company I work with, and they gave a free trial on something a while back, and I needed more time, so they gave me more of a trial. Then another time, they wound up giving me so much of a trial, it was like over a month. But then you know what happened? They took my feedback, they implemented it, and I wound up becoming a customer. All because a company that I used to work with decided it was okay to take our price tag, okay? And let's just say the price tag, I'm going to say per user was something like $60 a user. Let's just say they said, well, we're going to go ahead now and raise that price. So now it's how much? $600 a user, 10 times more. I mean, that's pathetic. And the thing is, when people use AI, I was talking to somebody before about this, and they use AI and they use it to exploit us. See, that's using AI as a tool that's bad. I always told you AI and weapons, they're not good, they're not bad. They're tools. It's how we use them that makes them good or makes them bad. I know that as a lot of you hear about AI, you're like, what is AI? What's AI going to do? Well, AI is, think of it like this, an operating system. Think of it like this. And it's able to take different inputs. It's able to learn. And what it's also able to do is it's able to do some analysis. And the analysis is done by what we call LLMs. And what you might be asking me, John, what is an LLM? So it's a large language model. It's a type of artificial intelligence that uses what they call a neural network architecture. And it's basically called a transformer, and it's trained on vast amounts of text data to understand, generate, and predict human-like language. I said to predict like. I didn't say that it was exactly like it. Okay. These models learn patterns. And I told you I was going to bring chat back onto the show. I think I'm going to do that actually tonight. I know a lot of you have been asking me, and I'm actually going to ask chat some things. Hopefully, chat does not mind. I'm going to use Chat GPT 5. And let me go ahead and pop that on. For those of you that are watching, you're probably going to see that on the screen here in just a second. But I'm still going to read the responses, so you'll definitely get that. So first thing I'm going to ask Chat GPT right now is I'm going to ask, what is new in Chat GPT 5? And it takes a second to analyze. And it says unified smarter model with built-in reasoning. Okay, so ChatGPT 5 thinking activates for tasks like coding, science, or financial analysis. Users can choose a quick answer if they prefer, or it goes to the deeper analysis. Enhanced accuracy and safety. That's what they're claiming. I haven't really seen that to my own eyes yet. Next level reasoning. It can perform at a PhD level in areas such as math, science, and coding. I've done some discrete math with it, and it was pretty clever. I won't tell you it was perfect every time, but it was, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was probably like about an 8. It can generate fully functional apps, games, and websites from simple prompts. Um, Massive context window. It can handle extraordinary long inputs up to 256,000 tokens. So it can process entire books, detailed reports, or lengthy chats without losing context. But here's the thing, in the free versions of things like ChatGPT, you can't just use that. You just can't. Voice and writing updates. So if I asked it something like, why are you safer? We're just going to ask that question. Great question. When people say GPT-5 and ChatGPT is safer, they usually mean it's less likely to generate harmful, false, or inappropriate content. So, safe completion techniques detect and block harmful or misleading responses that could be misappropriated the wrong way. Avoid generating dangerous content like instructions or malicious code. That's what it says. Massive safety testing. GPT-5 was tested across 5,000 plus hours in high risk areas like biological sciences, chemistry, cybersecurity, legal, and political advice. Reduce hallucinations of false information. So now it's claiming not to give so much false info. Stronger internal guardrails, recognize attempts at jailbreaking or prompt injection, and resist them more effectively than it could before. Instead of blanket reactions, GPT-5 often gives better explanations and alternatives. This is all what they say. And so smarter recognizing risks, more cautious and honest, better tested against harm, and aligned with clearer, more helpful content. And you can also search the web now. So that's yes, it can search the web and it can find things out. So those are very useful things, guys. And I think the more that we start to learn about AI, the more that we have questions about AI, you're going to find that as you charge for AI services, I found this out when I was doing some study for my discrete math, it's not how many questions you ask, but it's the number of tokens. Okay. So I know you're probably asking me this great question. What is a token with AI? So a token, it's a single fundamental unit. So it can be a word, a part of a word, a character, or a symbol. AI language models break down text into these smaller, manageable places called KENs, through a process called tokenization, allowing them to understand relationships and generate human-like responses efficiently. It says likely, right? But it doesn't say that it definitely does generate it, right? So when I was doing my homework and just doing some studying for one of my tests, I was only able to generate about 4 or 5 problems on ChatGPT. I then went to some other engines like Microsoft Copilot, which, by the way, Microsoft Copilot, I was very surprised at Microsoft Copilot. There isn't a lot of restrictions on the amount of usage you get with it, but you do have to sign in. It does have to know who you are, so you have to have a valid all that. So that I don't know what its limits are because I haven't hit any of its limits, but I know ChatGPT, I do hit its limits. But all of them, long story short, they want you to pay. Okay, they do want you to pay, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. But it is important to realize that it goes by the tokens, right? The words. And so when we're thinking about putting together problems, and we're doing something like I was doing a math choosing problem, and so there were a lot of elements in that problem. So it was only able to generate only 4 problems for me. So you have to realize that if I give you a scenario like, Joey went to the store, and because he got there before they closed, he was able to get the items on sale. Joey went to the store, and because he got there before they closed, he got the items on sale. Otherwise, if he missed it and he went tomorrow, the items would have been regular price. He saved 20%. You get my idea? So each one of those is like a logical reasoning. And when we reason in our mind, what you're going to find is that we don't get the answer right away. We first get the input. And then sometimes we have to walk away from the input and like, oh, I get the answer. I'll give you a perfect example. I was working on my final, and there was one question that wasn't coming to my mind. And I was about ready to hand in. And just as I was about ready to hand it in, I got an idea. And I said, let me try this. Let me try this. And at the last minute, before I hand it in, I came up with the closed formula, which is basically a formula that allows you to get to whatever n is without having to know anything more than what iteration you want to get to without knowing the previous iteration. So those are pretty cool things, guys. And so AI is a model. That's what AI is. It is a model, and this model helps us to learn and let's say learn about some type of let's say disease. In order to set that up is extremely expensive, right? To create that environment. But if we can mimic this in a virtual environment, and we can easily change things like genetic factors on the person, all in these virtual type of models, we can then make certain deductions based on that with different formulas and statistics, all by changing one thing. And so AI in itself is a very good modeling tool. But what AI is not is something that is just going to come up with a perfect, clear answer, because there is no perfect, clear answer. What I might think is perfect and what you might think is perfect is something completely different, right? What would you use AI for? If I AI right now, would you use it to help you do your homework? Would you use it to help you learn a concept? Maybe you want to learn a language. And now with ChatGPT and other systems being able to support voice as an input, I think that's a really, really cool thing. And now we see the Jersey police using AI and industries that are using AI. I mean, I called a library the other day and it said, thank you for calling the XYZ library. And at first it's like, if you know your party's extension, dial it now. Otherwise, press 1 and enter your library card number. So if you were to go forward and enter your library card number, it would proceed to tell you, you currently have 4 books out. One of them is 1 day late or is due tomorrow. Would you like to renew that book? And you could do all this automatically. It could be used for reservation systems, but where the problem comes in is when we're not able to make those quick changes. Like, let's say we were at a vending machine and it says, well, what drink do you want? I like the half-ounce bottle of Tropicana orange juice. And it says, okay, you want the half-ounce bottle of pineapple juice. No, I said orange juice. Got it. I'll give you 2 pineapple juices. So that's where there's some issues. So I think we need to clarify, if it can't analyze our voice for the correct answers, then maybe we need to have a prompt like, is this correct? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. We've seen this on IVR, interactive voice response systems. So I think where we're trying to get with artificial intelligence is a place where we can learn, where we can use it to gather more data so we can build more models. Because that's one of the things, ladies and gentlemen, that takes so much time in our life to build models. And so, as you know, if you've ever heard about how they make ships and things like that, they don't go build a great Navy ship. They build a model or a prototype that is a fraction of the size. Everything else is built exactly the same way, but it's built down maybe like the size of maybe a toy, battery controlled ship. But everything else is built the same way. It's built with the same components, but down on a different scale. So, we've talked about, remote control boats and things like that, just like remote control cars. But think of it like this. Imagine that boat being built with industrial grade, military grade, right? Material so that it could go through the different tests. They could test to see if it would go under, and they could test things on the scale. And so when you test things on a scale, you know that when you get on a higher level, you know that if you keep within certain tolerances, mathematics, it's going to be the same. And there are some times when you have to test it to a larger scale to a certain point. It might be 10%, it might be 20%. And then you know that you've got something that'll be pretty precise to that level. And that's the thing that is always impressing about AI is that we can keep using it to generate data. Today, I was doing a practice experiment with AI, and I told it to grab me all the phone numbers and all the businesses within a certain um, range of me. I will tell you that it did not get it correct the first time. It only gave me 10 businesses. Then I'm like, well, what happened to the phone number? And where's the contact? And where's the type of business? Where's a coffee house? Whether it's a clothing store, whether it's a food store, like where is all that? How to do it again. By the time I had to do it on my fourth time to finally give it all what it needed, guess what happened? It says, sorry, you're out of tokens and you need to upgrade. I need to upgrade, right? So that's the frustration that I think a lot of people don't realize is how that works. So people ask you, so how much is Chat GPT 5? So it's not going to break the bank. So ChatGPT is free for all users, although it has usage limits. So paid users receive access to GPT-5 with higher usage caps. Advanced features like unlimited GPT-5 Pro and early access to new tools starts at $20 a month, plus a plan and higher tiers like Pro and Team plans. Then you have things like API pricing, so you can get in. Then they have things like priority processing. So yeah, batch pricing and things like that. So they have a GPT-5, the best model for coding and different types of agentic tasks across industries. And that roughly works out to be a dollar point 25 for 1 million tokens. Okay. Cached input 0.125 because we know sometimes we need to save our cash, right? Output 10,000 basically dollars gives us 1 million tokens. So that's a difference, right? So input being 1 million, right? Input of cash being one thing, but then an output of 1 million tokens. That means 1 million concepts, $10,000. You get how this works? So ChatGPT means to simplify things, okay? Working with text is very easy, and you just got to be clear and specific about, what you want. That's probably the most important thing. ChatGPT 5 Mini is basically $2,000 for 1 million tokens output, 0.250 for 1 million tokens, and 0.025 for 1 million tokens on the cash side. Faster, it's cheaper than GPT-5 for well-defined tasks. And then we have 5 Nano, cheaper version of ChatGPT, great for summarization and classification of tasks. So again, I think, and then if you go into ChatGPT 4, 1 million tokens is $3, and 1 million on the output is 1 million on the output is $25. So you see how that kind of changes around a little bit. And I think if we start understanding that ChatGPT is meant to give us tokens, that's how we view it. So there's another one I've used. It's called Venice, Venice AI. And now Venice doesn't give you all of the information that ChatGPT does. But Venice AI prices, is a little bit different. So the pricing for Venice is they have a $0 option, 25 text prompts per day, 15 image prompts per day. At the Venice Pro level, you get private text, image, and code. You get advanced AI models. You get character creation. You get free tier API access. You get unlimited prompts. You can remove image watermarks, high resolution upscaling, and you can disable what they call the mature filter. But what I've noticed about Venice is that Venice doesn't it doesn't really work well with your input. So if let's say, for example, you're giving it a file. So ChatGPT is very good when it comes to working with input because you can give it a file and now you can tell it, hey, do this for me, based on this. And so, they don't really get into the tokens so much, but a Venice token is $3.58. So it's hard to understand how they all deal with tokens because all of these models, okay, they use tokens different ways. So they have what they call private AI. It's a privacy architecture, keeps your AI prompts 100% private, and all data stays on your device and not on the servers. Then they have uncensored AI. They offer the most advanced, accurate, uncensored models for truly unrestricted AI experiences. But again, I don't want you to think that you can just do anything you want with them. There's going to be some limitations, making sure you don't cause some big, big problems. So we never know where we're going to go with things. I wanted to kind of talk a little about AI because I know that's really coming up. And like I said, tech is at a turning point right now. I think it's got a lot more things that it's got to do before it turns the next corner, including where we're going with quantum physics and quantum mechanics. But I think at the end of the day, if we all realize that AI is a tool, and if we make the commitment to use AI as a tool that'll be used for the greater good of all concerned, guess what? It's going to be a benefit for everyone. But of course, people can always use things and abuse them. So this is why a lot of the free AI with tokens has to be restricted because we don't know what these people are doing. Now, what Microsoft is actually called Microsoft Copilot. So Microsoft Copilot costs, there's a little bit different. So theirs is $30 per user per month. Okay. And so that doesn't sound too bad, right? The others were like 18, 19, but they don't actually talk about tokens. Okay. So it's interesting because somewhere down the road, you're going to sacrifice something, right? Somebody's going to say, look, well, you're out of your token limit. Like I was floored that I only went through 5 practice problems. Okay. There were literally 5 like unions and intersections and some other set questions. I think I did like 6 of them or 7 of them. And it already told me that I think I got 10, that I was out of scope already. And it wanted me to pay. So Audible will tell you, you'll be free at 7:30 at night. You'll be free the next morning. And most people that are using AI are okay with that. And there's other AI systems you can use, like even on DuckDuckGo, but that one's very limited. I mean, they cut you out on DuckDuckGo like really, really quickly. So chat can do some things, but again, be mindful of the tasks you give it because the amount of output you ask for is where it's going to be a restriction. And that's important to understand. And so the more that we understand AI, the more that we can use it intelligently, the more that we can help others use intelligently, and the more that we can, let's say, see it less as a threat, but more as something that can aid us in our lives. Pretty cool, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Do check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. I'll catch you real soon. Have a great night and a great weekend. We'll see you on the next week's show. Check us out at believemeachieve.com.